Hello and welcome back, and for those that don't know, this is the third part in my ioSafe destruction video. So far in the first part we've set this device on fire by putting it inside a barbecue for 30 minutes. We've then submerged it completely in water for 30 more minutes, and on that occasion all of the data on the drives inside survived. Next, we took the device down to the span warehouse and dropped it from 8 feet onto hard concrete. Then we took it back up here, took the drives out, popped it inside our Synology, and the drives were fine. We did smart tests as well, just quick ones, but in short, we've created 5 separate storage volumes, one on each disk, and we've put all these drives back in. I'm just in the process of reinstalling these drives inside this device, which, don't get me wrong, is completely knackered on a power level. We're not going to be able to boot this device up, notwithstanding the fact that the LAN cables on the rear have melted from the inside. I'm pretty sure the controller board is cracked from that drop. But nevertheless, this chassis, the protective chassis in the middle, and the ioSafe materials, the endothermically reactive materials inside, are protecting those drives so far from a drop, fall, fire and water. We only got 2 more Captain Planet elements left to go. So what we're going to do today is go extreme. Now we're going to take this device, we're going to take it downstairs once again into the span warehouse, and we are going to just smash the living hell out of it. We are going to take it down there and cause it some intentional damage. We're going to mistreat the hell out of this device just to finally see if it can withstand brutal damage. Because up until now, what we've been testing are things that happen in a potential business environment: fire, flooding and drops. The fire and flooding is fairly obvious with things like environmental damage or, faulty wiring, anything like that. With the water being the case, that if you've got firemen coming in, blasting hoses of water everywhere, your device could easily be submerged in water. And the drop is simply that with this device inside any office building with multiple floors, there's every possibility that it can drop from a large height, which again, that's why we needed to see if the data inside could survive that drop. Now, ioSafe guarantee protection from the first two, fire and flooding. They didn't give us guarantees on the drop, but the drives and those Seagate Iron Wolves inside survived perfectly. And I know this is full of plugs, but it's important because you guys want to know what these things are, how they survived, and if you want to buy them, what the hell they are. So the third thing we're going to go for is intentional misconduct. We are going to knock the hell out of this. I want you to imagine a scenario where people demolish the building, maybe, not so much explosive, but basically cause widespread physical damage to the server. And that's what we're going to do. Now, once again, as I've said in my other videos, ioSafe do not guarantee protection against this last tier of damage. They only cover for fire and flooding. They do not guarantee that this will be protected. That said, if you watch some of their other videos, you will know that not only their SSDs are protected from physical damage, but in previous videos, not on this channel at least, they have unloaded automatic weapons at these devices and caused huge amounts of damage to them, and they've still survived. But because they're mechanical hard drives, they can't fully guarantee that they'll survive. So always make sure you have another backup solution to your NAS. Never have the NAS as your only backup solution. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Thank you once again for that lovely expression. But we're going to move this back down into the span warehouse, and we're going to see if these 5 drives can withstand intentional, deliberate and malicious damage. And we're going to bring it back up. I'll go through the whole tedious process of getting those drives out again inside this, and we'll see if the data is going to survive. I'll be honest, secretly, deep down, I want the drives to die. But if they survive, kudos to ioSafe, kudos to Synology, and kudos to Seagate in what they've created. But let's make our way downstairs and start the mayhem. Right, well, it's time for some malicious damage. So here we've got the unit. I think it's time we started really making some mess. we're back in the studio and let's take a good long look at what this baby has been through. Again, we've set fire to it. We've sunk it in water. We've chucked it off a height of 8 feet, and now we have beaten the living hell out of it. So let's do it for presumably one last time. If this has actually survived, I'll just be astounded. Firstly, let's see if the front panel will actually come off in the first place. That front screw is largely warped. We'll probably take a closer look at that in a second. I think that screw is long gone. Yep, and we'll go for the bottom one. Again, we've not opened this up before, prior to recording, so what you're seeing is the first time I'm seeing it too. And I've not watched back the video recordings, but I was the one that threw this device earlier, and I heard it land. So I don't fancy this device's chances. That front panel is severely buckled. And again, I feel at pains to highlight that ioSafe themselves do not guarantee this surviving this kind of treatment. Oh, that entire front panel is mullered. Look at all that stuff that's fallen out there. That's the protective stuff that we desperately hope is not radioactive. We'll get that out of there. Let's get that front panel off. I might have to levy it off. There we go. That does not want to move this time. So there's our materials. Let's dump that over there. We ruined that chair for a while. Get that off. Prise that off of there. That does not want to come, does it? Chuck that there for now. Remove some of this debris. So we don't really want to get that on the drives too much because that might invalidate the experiment. But now that inside panel doesn't appear to have budged. The external surround on it, if we turn that slightly to camera, the internals do seem very sturdy, but that does not take into account the phenomenal stress damage and shock damage that is, comprised of the energy that has pressed through this device. But again, maybe for the last time, let's get that lift music started and fast forward to these drives being installed in that Synology NAS. Okay, let's go. And there's the last drive. There's our last 4TB Seagate Iron Wolf drive. Let's get that in the tray, measured up lightly. I had lots of fun with that last one, but that was more to do with grit on the table than the NAS. And as we get this drive installed, I've got to say this is the last test I'm going to do on this. So whether it fails, whether it succeeds, and I strongly suspect it failed, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. So for the last time, let's press the power button. Our DS1019 spinning. Let's have a listen. I'm not hearing anything negative, which is a good sign. Normally damaged hard drives would make some bad clicks and words at this point. And what I'm going to do, once again for the last time, we're going to say goodbye to this, and we're going to make our way over to that screen and finally check if the data on these 5 disks has survived malicious damage. So I'm now doing a scan of the local area network. I gave it a few minutes and the Synology beeped. As we can see here on the screen, the ioSafe has been found again, that array. And of course this is using a DS1019 Plus that we've removed our Freudian slip. The Seagate 4TB Iron Wolf NAS drives have now been removed and put inside this device. Let's go into it and take a good look at what we've got. I'm starting to feel a little hopeful because I can't hear any negative noises from the drives, and there was no reported no negativity on Synology Assistant. So, final tier of our test. Let's go to the Storage Manager, File Station, and would you Adam and Eve it? Our RAIDs are fine. There are our 5 RAIDs. So I say RAIDs, 5 individual volumes, 1 on each disk. All of our storage is there. If we go once again, drive 1, 50 gig, and I think you know what's going to happen now. RAID, the second RAID, drive 2, 50 gig, drive 3, 50 gig, drive 4, 50 gig, and of course, let's not forget about you, RAID drive 5, a 50 gig. So again, guys, I am absolutely flabbergasted. Special thank you, of course, to ioSafe to allowing me to absolutely muller this device. If you are watching this out there, my ioSafe, I've got to say that is an impressive device. Same goes for you guys at Seagate with the drives. It has to be said that the sort of drives that can stand up to that kind of motion and that kind of physical damage, fair play to you, fair play to you. I don't know if there's any more tests I can do with this device. I'm going to sit on this for a little while, maybe come up with one last test, or maybe even just deconstruct the whole device for a future video. But without further ado, let's wrap things up. Let's get a photo open there. We've got some photos of different devices there. And even, let's do one last test just before we call it a day. Let's do a quick test now. Let's pick another drive. We did drive 1 in the previous videos. Let's do a test of this drive just to see its health. But right now the drive seems fine. Let's run a smart test, and we'll leave that to an extended test now. Oh no, we're not, because that's going to take way too long. But we'll let that one do a minute. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do want to see more tests like this on the channel, do let me know, and there's going to be a lot more like it coming up very, very soon indeed. Do look out for the videos that are coming out in September, October, November, where we're going to see some brand new releases from everyone, and I do mean everyone. All the brands have got some new stuff coming out there, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you, as well as my little friend ioSafe here, next time. Cheerio.